What are private keys and why are they so important? Next on your 4-Minute Bitcoin. Today's show is from a post by Bitcoinist and brought to you by BitBlock Boom. The self-custody of Bitcoin private keys is so important that there's an annual event dedicated to ensuring as many people as possible maintain full control over their private keys. This event, which is known as Proof of Keys, occurs every year on January the 3rd and encourages users to withdraw their Bitcoin from exchanges to their own personal wallets. Because private key access is necessary to ensure true ownership of Bitcoin, or as the saying goes, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. So what are private keys? Whenever a user creates a Bitcoin wallet, what they're actually doing is generating a mathematically related private key and public key pair. The private keys are the cryptographically sensitive part of the pair and should never, ever be shared with anyone, whereas the public key is typically known as a public address because they're the addresses that can be shared publicly and used to receive Bitcoin. Since the private key and public key are mathematically linked, only the holder of the private key is able to access and spend the Bitcoin received to the associated public key address. Now, while it's simple to derive the public key from the private key, it's not possible to derive the private key from the public key. This is what makes Bitcoin addresses practically uncrackable. Now, private keys are used to sign transactions, which are then broadcast to the blockchain by a wallet client for processing by the Bitcoin miners. Once the signed transactions have been picked up by a miner and included in a block, it will be then rendered irreversible. Because private keys are essentially the password that allows Bitcoin to be spent, it's extremely important to keep them safe, since losing the private key can mean any Bitcoin on the address it controls are gone or they're lost forever. Now, as I previously touched on, private keys allow the owner to access and manage any funds that were sent to the associated public address. Because of this, anyone with access to the private key can be considered the owner of those Bitcoin. Now, this might not seem like much of a problem, but it's important to understand that a large portion of centralized cryptocurrency wallet providers do not provide their users with access to the private keys associated with their wallets. Because of this, there's a strong argument that these users don't actually own the Bitcoin stored in their wallet for no other reason than the simple fact that they would be unable to mobilize their funds if the centralized wallet provider was temporarily or permanently rendered unavailable to them. From a minimalistic point of view, wallets, well, they're simply private key storage and management tools. However, there are a large number of wallets that appear to provide control over the private keys since they allow users to spend, manage, and receive Bitcoin, but they actually offer these features without providing private key access. These are known as custodial wallets. Now, one of the simplest ways to avoid these wallets is by only using wallet clients that do not have any lock-in system. These are clients that provide you with either access to the recovery phrase or mnemonic, that is, to generate the wallet or the private keys for each public address managed by the client. Now, by using a client that provides full access to your private keys, you will be sure that you retain complete control of your digital assets and will not be subject to the whims and limitations of centralized exchange platforms or custodial wallet providers. Well, I hope this helps you understand a little bit better the importance of controlling your private keys. Like I said, never share your private keys. I can't say that enough. Let me know what you think in the comments. And this episode is brought to you by BitBlock Boom. The Great Bitcoin Conference is coming to Dallas, Texas in August. And I say Bitcoin Conference because Bitcoin's all we talk about at BitBlock Boom. We don't talk about altcoins, just Bitcoin. So if you're interested in Bitcoin, please take a look at bitblockboom.com. I hope I get to meet you in person at this year's BitBlock Boom in Dallas. I'm Gary Leland, the Bitcoin Boomer, and thanks for joining me on another 4-Minute Bitcoin Show. This is a bitblockboom.com production.